Morning.
Shua Tov. We are learning Mishna Sotah, Perek Test, Chapter 9, Mishnah Gimel, Mishnah 13. Okay. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Omer. Rabbi Shimon, the son of Elazar, said, Hatahara natla es hatam veshareach. Purity, or really the lack of purity, took away the taste and the aroma of the fruits. We've been discussing, the previous Mishnah discussed the different types of curses and deficiencies that came about the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. And now the point of time where the Jewish people basically were not practicing the laws of Tumah, purity, ritual of ritual purity, impurity, as they were before, that now had an effect in the physical world in the sense of affecting the fruits regarding their taste and regarding their aroma, their fragrance. So here on the bottom, quoting the Bartanura, they explained, as long as people were pure and were occupied with matters of purity, meaning they were, again, more meticulous and careful about remaining in a state of purity than impurity, which is not necessarily an obligation, but it was clearly a common practice at a certain point of time to remain and try to be in a state of purity. And when that happened, so as long as they were occupied, Hashem purified their fruit of unpleasant flavors and aromas. Once the people lost their purity, the bad flavors and aroma returned. So it's almost like the way they're explaining it here is that, the Tahara removed anything bad, and once the purity was suspended, once there was no more purity, then they came back. So that's the first part of the Mishnah. Next. Hamasres natlu es shemen hadagan. The lack or the fact, the end of tithing, caused the removal of the shoman, which they translate here as the richness of the grain, which again they explain that to me the nutrition. And here too, we're talking about the fact that people were not keeping, the people were not practicing anymore, separating Shemus and Maasros. Now, even after Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, there clearly was definitely, I would assume there was a time where the obligation was still there. So when it says here that the end of tithing, I'm not sure if that means the end of tithing in the sense of people were not practicing it as they should have, or it means that there was just no more mitzvah anymore. Without the Beis HaMikdash, without the Jewish people living, or the majority of living in Eretz Yisrael, it wasn't a Torah obligation anymore. So I'm not sure exactly what this means, where when Meiser was ended, what that means exactly. But with the ending of Meiser, that caused the richness, the shoma, the richness of the grain to be lost. And here again, they bring down from the Bartanura, from that there's a pasuk in the book of Bamidbar that describes Shumas and Maasros as the richness of the produce. Chaylev, it's called. Chaylev we translate as fat. It doesn't necessarily mean fat. It means the choicest. It means the richest. And without having the richness of the produce through Shumas and Maasros, the richness of the fruits were decreased. Now, the way they bring it here is, therefore, when people stopped tithing their produce, they were punished with a decrease in its richness, which sounds more like the people were not keeping what they should have. And that is what caused this decrease. And then the last thing the Mishnah mentions is, V'chachamim ma'imim, right? Chachamim say, Hazanus v'akashafim, kilo es hakoil. Zus, which they translated as harlotry and sorcery, brought an end to all. Now, here they bring down to explain, these sins reduced the blessings granted to the world. Meaning these sins, as it says, it ended everything. That affected everything. That affected blessing in a very general way. Promiscuity causes famine. As the sages teach, whoever cohabits with a harlot will be reduced to searching for a loaf of bread. So that kind of behavior takes away the blessing from the physical world. Sorcery is sometimes given the power to cause harm in the world, even when the harm was not directly decreed by heaven. The sorcery is the choice of a person to go out and use it in a damaging way. And therefore, apparently, again, this kshafim, the sorcery, was being used in a broad way. It was being used a lot to say that kilo es hakol, it ended everything, brought an end to everything. Because as they're explaining it here, It's that source, that power that sorcery has to affect the world, that was having this very negative effect, which means it was being practiced in too far away. So all these things the Mishnah are mentioning are the how the lack of certain levels of kedusha, of sanctity, when they were lost, had this negative effect on the physical world itself. Have a wonderful day. A good tavach. Shavua tov.
Thank you, Rabbi.